Come with me as I upgrade my Jackson's 30-year-old tremolo system from this to this. So many of you guys suggested the Gotoh 1996T as an upgrade, it was a no-brainer for me. It was made in about 1995 and 96, allegedly by Gotoh. It's clear by the different colour saddles that at some point in this guitar's history it was modified. Nevertheless, after 30 years of service, it really was time for an upgrade. I undid the screws at the headstock, loosened the strings, cut them off, and began work. First, I removed the tremolo springs, then I removed the screws and plate from the back of the guitar. I then moved to the front of the guitar and removed the adjustment screws and took off the bridge entirely. This leaves you with the sight of the terrifying bridge cavity, but don't worry, something amazing is coming. I then unboxed the Gotoh Trem and got to work. I first went to the back of the guitar and installed the plate and screws provided. I then realised that the adjustment screws for the front of the guitar that Gotoh had provided were actually too big for my guitar model. This meant I'd have to widen the existing threads by drilling into the guitar. Not really wanting to do that, I put back in the original screws just to see if they'd work. Luckily for me, they did. I put the Gotoh 1996T into the cavity and adjusted the screws so it sat nicely. I then went to the back and attached the new springs. It's important to note at this point that the tremolo screws at the back shouldn't be tightened too much. If you over tighten them without any tension, you will run into trouble and your tremolo will be floating far too high when you put the strings on. It was then that I found a little Allen key, undid the tremolo arm screw, put the tremolo arm in and moved it to adjust. I have to say, out of the whole bridge, the tremolo arm has been the biggest upgrade and an absolute revolution for me. Then I did my regular guitar clean, shampooed and conditioned the fretboard, and it was time to put on the new strings. I loosened the saddle blocks and added the strings one by one. Then it's time to bring the guitar up to tension. You're going to have to wrestle with it a little bit as it is a floating trem, but you will get there eventually. I then realised that the bridge was riding way too high, and after a lengthy testing process of adjusting the screws at the front and the back of the tremolo system, I finally had the trem sat flat with the body. This also meant that my flat action was absolutely perfect. Then it was time to play in the new strings and make sure they're not dropping out of tune, reinstall and adjust the locking nut, and I was free to shred with a brand new Gotoh 1996T tremolo system. If you've got an old Floyd guitar hanging around because you don't really trust the trem, this is an absolutely essential upgrade. For under 200 quid, you really cannot go wrong. So that's how I installed the Gotoh 1996T trem into this Jackson in what is the final upgrade for this guitar. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please follow, like and comment any suggestions in the comments box. And as always, cheers.